Okay, good evening, everyone. Shalom Aleichem. Tonight, we are going to continue with our Gemara Masechet Berachot. We're going to speak about the 10 Commandments. A very, very important Gemara that comes up a few times a year when we read the 10 Commandments. We read the Aseret HaDibrot. This Gemara, I bring it up always, not always, but I bring it up often. It's a very important Gemara related to the 10 Commandments we're going to study tonight. We're going to learn a little bit more about the Berachot of Kriyat Shema tonight. We're going to learn a little bit more about the Berachot of Torah, as we discussed the last time. So we have a lot to discuss, and we're going to see how far we get tonight. It gets a bit tricky. We might already start talking about Berachot on food, if you make a mistake. So far in the Masechet, we have not gotten into the Berachot of food. We've spoken about Shema Yisrael, Shema of night, Shema of day, Berachot before Shema, or the position when you're supposed to say Shema, Berachot before Shema, Berachot after Shema, Berachot in the morning, and Berachot after. And so we might get introduced to some of the Berachot topics of food item tonight, depending on how far we get. Without any further ado, I'd like to get started. But before I do, I have to answer 3 questions. There were 3 questions that were asked. One of them was asked by Mr. Josh Abrani in the chat. I asked him to ask it, but you did ask it, so thank you. The question was, last week we learned about the laws of making beracha on Torah before you study Torah. So just as a reminder of the berachot, here's a sidur. There are 3 berachot that we say. The first beracha is Birkat Hatorah al divrei Torah, which means Hashem, you commanded us on the words of Torah. So we have a mitzvah to study Torah. Before you study Torah, you say this beracha. Then we have the next beracha of V'ha'arevna Hashem Elokeinu. Hashem, please sweeten these words for us. V'ha'arev means to sweeten for us. Okay? I haven't said where we're up to because I'm still doing a review of last time, but we're going to pick up from Yud Aleph Amud Bet. 11B3 is where we're going to pick up from. But just to keep your focus on the screen, the second beracha is Hashem, as we study Torah, please make it sweet for us. Please make it something that we study, our children study, all of Israel studies, because you are our teacher. That's the second beracha. Okay, it's almost like a request for our Torah study to go well, to be sweet and to be enjoyable. The third beracha that we say is Baruch Atah Hashem, blessed are you Hashem, Elokeinu melech haolam, Master of the universe, Asher bachar banu mikol ha'amin, you have chosen us, v'natan lanu et Torah, and you've given us the Torah. Baruch Atah Hashem, Noten Torah, blessed are you Hashem, you have given us the Torah. There are 3 berachot here. Okay, I'm gonna get back to Josh's question in a second, but there also David asked the question. David asked a question of what, since when do we say 3 berachot? As we study the Gemara, there's 3 different opinions. One opinion says al divrei Torah. Then it says Rabbi Yochanan would add this one, and then Rav Hamnuna comes and says, and I say this one, and I think this one is the best. So the Gemara says, all right, we'll say all 3. What does that mean? You say all 3? Is a 3-way machloket about beracha to say of the Torah? So we decide to do all 3. How does that work? So I think this is it's important to just take a break and understand how there are different types of berachot. There are some berachot that we say prior to fulfilling a mitzvah. Someone give me an example. Beracha that you say prior to fulfilling a mitzvah. Sorry? Talit, what do you say? Very good. Another one. Oh, no. A lot of them. So give me an example. No. No, not hamotzi. You ready? Ready for the Gemara? This is not a high school. No, I'm kidding. Right. So you're still in middle school, right? No, you're in high school. You're 9th grade. Okay. Hanukkah. Okay. So very good. You know what, Mr. It's your first name? I know. First name? Zach. Okay. Zach. One way to know whether a beracha is a beracha that we say before we do a mitzvah is by looking at the text of the beracha. If you say, Asher kiddeshanu b'mitzvotav, you have sanctified us through your mitzvot, vetzivanu, and Hashem had commanded us, blank, that's a beracha you say before a mitzvah. So you say, Asher kiddeshanu b'mitzvotav, vetzivanu, להתעטף בציצית. אשר קידשנו מצוות ציוונו להדליק נר חנוכה. אשר קידשנו מצוות ציוונו להניח תפילין. אשר קידשנו מצוות ציוונו לקבוע מזוזה. Someone said מזוזה. אשר קידשנו מצוות ציוונו על אכילת מצה. אשר קידשנו מצוות על נטילת ידיים. Okay, very good. Sorry? No, okay, you tell me. Do we say Asher Kedishanu Mitzvah Tzivanu Shechianu V'Kimanu V'Gimanu? No. So brachot before mitzvot to have the words of Asher Kedishanu Mitzvah Tzivanu al Netilat or al something, al Sefirat HaOmer. That's a beracha that you say before you do mitzvah. Then there's other types of brachot. Some brachot are brachot where we are asking HaShem for something, a request. Can someone give me an example of a bracha of a request? Shomei tefillah, Baruch Atah Hashem, Shomei tefillah, Hashem, you listen to prayers. That's not a bracha before a mitzvah, that's a request. Another example. Gomel, no, third category. A request. Bracha of Gomel is doing what? Is after the fact thanking or praising Hashem for something else that has already happened. Tefillah Hatorah is Shomei tefillah. Or, how about this? Chonen hadat, Rofei Cholei Amo Yisrael. The entire middle of the Amidah is beracha. After beracha, that's request. What? No, that's not a praise. It's a request. You give people knowledge. And you teach thinking to people. And you please grant from you chokhmah bina v'da'at. Please give us wisdom, understanding, meditating. Baruch Atah Hashem, bless you Hashem, chonen hadat. You give da'at. It's a request. It's a request. What is an example of a praise, which is the third category of bracha? Gomel. Hashem, you do Gomel. Thank you, Hashem, for doing good for me. Another example of a praise. Magen Abraham could be yes, that could be Berachot Shevach. Really, there's Berachot Shevach and Birkat Hatorah. I'll give you another example. Let's say there's an earthquake, and you say Baruch Hashem, Oseh Maseh Bereshit. It's a praise of Hashem. I said it. I don't know if you guys said it. The first one I didn't say, because the first one I was just confused. Like, who's on the roof? That's what I felt. I felt someone was on the roof. I was just confused. And then I realized there's okay, then at 6 o'clock there was an aftershock. I was ready this time. This time I said it and I ran to my son, Shai. What? I don't know. I don't know. We'll decide for the next thing. No, really the beracha you should say in the experience. You have the experience, you say the beracha of an earthquake. Thunder, lightning. These are things where you're praising Hashem. Okay, why am I saying all of this? The answer is because these three brachot are these three types of brachot, which answers a lot of the questions. Let's look at the screen. Okay, the first bracha, what type of a bracha is it? Baruch Atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam, asher kideshana b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al divrei Torah. What does that mean? It's a bracha that you say before doing a mitzvah. This is a berkat mitzvah. Okay? V'harevna Hashem Elokeinu. Hashem, please sweeten this for us. What type of a bracha is this? Sorry? It's a request. You're asking for Hashem that as I do this mitzvah, please make it something that's sweet for me and for my children, and that it works. It's a request. This last bracha, Baruch Atah Hashem asher bachar banu mikol amim. You have chosen us from all of the nations. And you've given us the Torah. What type of bracha is this? Sorry? Hoda'ah. You're thanking Hashem. Thank you, Hashem, for choosing us by giving us the Torah. You have three different types of brachot going on in the mornings when you say Birkat Hatorah. One of them is before you do the mitzvah. So, Mr. Alalati, before you said all mitzvot and you give all brachot are brachot before mitzvot. The example you gave was actually of another type of Hamotzi Lechem Min Haaretz. We don't say Asher Kedishanu Mitzvah V'Tzivanu in that. What do we say? Baruch Atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam, Hamotzi Lechem Min Haaretz. That is actually a beracha of Hana'ah. Sometimes we say a bracha before we enjoy something. So that would include Borei Pri Ha'etz. But that's almost like requesting permission before you eat something, which is another category of brachot. So Besamim is a berkat hana'ah. It's a bracha you say before you enjoy something. Very good. So you could say al netilat yadayim, asher kiddushanu mitzvah al netilat yadayim. That's a berkat mitzvah. Hamotzi lechem min haaretz is berkat hana'ah. Then you have over here, you have a berachat shevach, berachat hoda'ah. You see how there's different categories. So why am I saying all of this? Because as way of introduction, David Dilmani, you asked a question. If you said, hold on a second, there's three different opinions of the brachot you're supposed to say for Torah, and then we say we'll do all of them. The answer is because they're all different elements. So you are not making multiple berachot mitzvah. We don't do that. It's like you don't say laniach tefillin, al mitzvah tefillin, asim tefillin, legboa mezuzah, al kiviyat mezuzah. You don't say the same bracha of the same thing multiple times. but there's different aspects. One of them is I'm about to do a mitzvah of studying Torah, so I say Asher Kiddushalayim Mitzvotav. Another one is Hashem, please help this to go well. It's a prayer almost. And then the last one is a thanks for giving us the Torah. So we have these three berachot. Okay, so that's why we do all three. David, you asked another question. I don't remember what it was, but I'm pretty sure I answered it in this.
Yeah, you answered it.
Okay, I answered both in one. I don't remember how, but I remember one answer would answer both. Andrew, you said Mashiva Ruach is a praise. Correct that Mashiva Ruach is a praise, but Mashiva Ruach is in the beracha of Ata Gibor, which is a beracha of praise, which is what Josh said. It's the berachot at the beginning, right? I think it was you. The first berachot of the Amidah, the first three are berachot Shevach. The middle ones are beracha Bakasha. The end are Hoda'ah. Okay? And then Daniel Koren. What I always found fascinating in our prayers is that we refer to Hashem as Ata. Very informal. That's what makes it special and personal. Wow. Shema. So what Daniel is saying is when you say a beracha, you say the word Ata, it's like you're talking to Ribono Shel Olam. And this is Masechah Berachot, and we have to mention that. When we say a beracha, we are standing in front of Hashem. Beautiful, beautiful, Mr. Koren. Okay. Josh's question, and then we have to start. We didn't move on. We have to start. Josh's question was, we learned in Shulchan Aruch that Hameharher b'Torah, someone is thinking about the great Torah, they don't need to make a beracha beforehand. If you just think about Torah, you don't need to make a beracha beforehand. So the question is, what happens if I wake up 5 a.m. and I don't want to go do Netzilat Yadayim and say the beracha? I just want to open up my phone, look at my emails, and one of the emails is going to be of Torah. Am I allowed to? In other words, I know for speaking Torah, I have to make a beracha. I know for thinking about Torah, I don't need to make beracha. What about reading? What do you think? Do you think reading is considered speaking or is it considered thinking? You think you have to say the beracha before reading your email, right? What do you think?
We spoke about this last time and after the Shulchan Aruch word correct. They explained the word correct means read, but then said reading is more just like reading out loud instead of just reading.
Okay, you're right. Shulchan Aruch said correct. The next one says Hameharher. So let's open it up. You go to Halacha, Shulchan Aruch, Or HaChaim, Siman Mem Zayin. Akotev b'divrei Torah, someone who is writing, even though he's not reading it, sarich levarech, he needs to make the beracha. So this is another thing. If you write it, you need to make a beracha. Hameharher b'divrei Torah, someone who only thinks about it, ein sarich levarech, does not need to make a beracha. So my question is, I know that if you read it, you have to say bracha. If you write it, you have to say bracha. If you think it, you do not need to say bracha. What if I'm reading it? Is that considered thinking?
You can't read to feel everything, right? You can't just read it and think it in your head.
Okay. Very good.
Say the word.
Very good. When you say the Amidah, you can't read with your eyes. You have to verbalize it. Okay, so I'll tell you what the different opinions say. Different opinions that I saw today is that it seems like if you put a muzzle on your mouth and you know that you're not going to say any words, you do not need to make a beracha. Like let's say it's like you're listening to audio, you're just listening to a recording, and you're not talking, you don't need to make a beracha because that's just considered thinking. But the Kaf HaChaim says that when someone who is reading, very often they say the words that they're reading. So if like you're going to start reading and you say, "Oh wow, I didn't realize," or like even if you just say one word, since reading very often leads to talking even one word, so he says before you read, you should make the beracha. Okay, so to that point, I think if you wake up in the middle of the night and you say, "Look, I'm not going to say anything. I just want to read this," then I think you would be allowed to, even though you're thinking, because thinking doesn't require beracha. Thinking of Torah doesn't require bracha, right? Okay, but Kaf HaChaim says when you read, you really should make a bracha beforehand because it's very often as part of the reading, you might say one word and then you have to say your bracha before you say a word. Listening is the same concept. If you just listen without talking, it seems like you do not need to make a bracha. Scary thoughts right now. Don't ask these questions. Don't ask these questions. I know. I've had this realization at one point. Okay, so if that's true, that I could listen to a shiur, I listen to a recording without making a beracha, do I even get reward for studying Torah? I remember when I first read this, I got worried that like I'm not getting credit for so much of my listening to shiurim. So Okay, so here we go. Here we go. When you learn Torah, if you're listening to a shiur, you should try as much as you can to verbalize, to say things, so that you're actively involved throughout the process. Just listening to a shiur, I still think you get the reward, but it's not enough to require you to say a bracha. So are you going to get reward? Yes, I think so. I don't know. But it's not enough to require, you don't have to say a bracha beforehand. And I have to say what Mr. Basali once told me. You wake up in the morning, what's the first thing you should do? It shouldn't be take out my phone and start scrolling and go through this app and through that app, even emails. Really, it should be get up, go to the bathroom, wash your hands, say moda'ani netiyat yadayim, and focus on Ribono Shel Olam, and then check your phone, right? I think you were telling this to me before, that sometimes, we may not go run to eat food or have a meal in the morning, but our minds now is going straight to the phone. Okay, there's more important things. Moda'ani, as you said, saying bracha. Okay, with that, gentlemen, yes?
Listen to shiur and put the bathroom on. It's in your ears or on the speaker.
Yeah, do you see yeah. Do you see what comes out of this? If I tell you that listening is not studying Torah, or it's not that it's not studying Torah, but it doesn't require you to say beracha, what happens if there's a shiur on and I'm going to the bathroom? Can I listen to it? Or if you love Torah that much, but you really have to go to the bathroom, you're like, I can't choose. You don't have to. Okay, I don't know. Look, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? The truth is, you're not supposed to think about Torah in dirty places. You're not supposed to think about it in dirty places. Okay, we have some good questions. Yeah.
I just have a question. You said something about doing Netzilat Yadayim and then saying Moda'ani and then saying. So my question is, after you do Netzilat Yadayim in the morning, can you immediately say Moda'ani and then make the bracha?
Yeah. You should. Okay. You could say Netzilat Yadayim before you say Moda'ani.
Really?
Meaning Moda'ani should be the first thing you say in the morning, unless your hands are dirty. If your hands are dirty, go to the bathroom, wash your hands, say Netzilat Yadayim, and then say Moda'ani. You could say those two out of order. You could. You can. Yes, you can. This is like a morning routine. This is the halacha shiur. Okay, no, but it's important. It's important to go through these things. But yes, there are times where if someone really has to go to the bathroom, you really shouldn't say moda'ani in these things. You should go to the bathroom. You should be clean when you're saying your berachot in the morning. Now, Birkat Hatorah, let's say you're not ready to do everything, but you're addicted to studying Torah. Or I gave you the example last time. Let's say, for example, you want to say Shema Yisrael. The time of Shema Yisrael is coming. And as we learn, you said this. The Mishna says that if you are saying Shema late, don't worry. It's as though it's at least you're studying Torah. So you see, saying Shema Yisrael is studying Torah. So let's say you have a minute before the time of Shema. So you could do? You could just jump straight to Birkat Hatorah, say Shema Yisrael, and then finish the rest of the berachot afterwards. So you can. But we have an order. You should try to follow that if all else equal. Kevin, question? You don't want to? You can. Yeah. You deserve it. Okay, very good. Okay. Azak Baruch. Josh, we're going to cut the recording here and we're going to start with a new recording, okay? All right, I'm going to turn off the recording and we're going to start a new recording for the next year.